Shalom, everybody. I'm just going to keep you briefly. Um, I brought you all here just to say, don't send me any cash apps. Okay, my cash app was hacked early this morning. And the sad part is somebody sent me a cash app, but it came through at 3 a.m. and that got taken. And I'm certainly not asking anybody to send anything. So I just want to inform you that my account has been breached. And it looks like when I go in there, it's the same somebody using a fake company. And they just keep doing it over and over, which I believe was probably more than likely a bot because it just kept trying and trying and trying to get more cash after they wiped out the amount that I got from somebody. If it woulda came during the day, I probably would have been able to grab it and get the money out of there. But because of the time they sent the Cash App and I was asleep and then this occurred, I didn't get it. So, yeah, well, they didn't get to my bank account. There's no way in hell I'm gonna let that happen, but the bottom line is they did get to the Cash App, and the sad part, the person sent me a good amount at 3 AM. So, all I can say is, I do appreciate when you guys send me the Cash Apps and you show your support. I do deeply appreciate it, but in this instance, if you are gonna donate, just don't do it through Cash App for now. Yeah, I think they do, hack your account because I do feel that mine was hacked, and then they just kept sending several transactions through until it was completely wiped out. So, well, no, I didn't King Wage, I did not leave it in there. When the money came through, I just happened to be asleep at that time. Usually when people send it during the day, I'll grab it out of there right away. So it's a non-issue, you know? But when you send it in the middle of the night, chances are I'm not going to see it until I wake up. And that's what happened. No, Cash App don't reimburse you. They don't. They don't, and that's the thing. They don't reimburse you. You know what they tell you? Oh, go to the company that uh, the merchant that took the funds. How are you going to do that if they're using a bot? It's just the way the transactions kept coming in, like every few minutes, it kept trying and trying and trying, and it was trying these different amounts. So I think it was a bot. I think whoever this thief was, they used a bot. So I don't know how to go to that and ask for my money back. Okay. And chances are they didn't even use a real company name. The name they put out there, when I went to the company website, I've never made purchases from them. So they probably just used their name and information and came on just to make it look like it was a legitimate business. But yeah, I like I said, I don't know how to request my money back from a bot. Well, yeah, I mean, some of my subscribers, they'll send money orders. I still get those periodically. And I got still a few subscribers that do PayPal. So believe it or not, I haven't had issues with PayPal. But then again, like I said, when I get my money, if I'm awake and it's, during the day or even at night before I go to sleep, I'll just grab everything out of there right away. but because of the time that this person sent it through, I was sound asleep. You know what, Dr. Sharon, unfortunately, these apps that do payments, once your money is gone, they won't get it back for you. That's the thing, they won't. I did contact them. I was on with their chat, and they said, the money leaves the account instantly. So once it's gone, they can't get it back. You remember, everything is instant on Cash App. So when you pay, um, like if you're giving me a donation, that's instant once you put it through Cash App. And then once you move it, that's instant. Everything is really instant. So they were saying that, they have no way of getting it back. It could have been. You never know who it could have been. I mean, we can speculate, but I really don't know who they are at the end of the day. And the business name they were using, I've never done any transactions with them. So I know, they were using a phony business name. I guess they were phishing. Yeah. So that's all. I just wanted y'all to know what happened, and I just wanted to alert all of you, and I hope no one makes the mistake of sending a Cash App after I've said this, but, there's always that possibility that it will happen. Somebody will just, unknowingly and not watch this video, and they will send something and I won't get it. Mhm. Yeah. Well, they said you can file a police report, and you know what? They do that over the phone. You don't even have to go in to file for that, you know? You can do it, but they just take it over the phone, but they don't really do anything, especially if it's not a big sum of money. They don't really do anything. But if you want to have the police report just to have it on file, yeah. Yeah, you should move it. If anybody out, in here got money in Cash App, move it. I would have got mine out, but like I said, I was sound asleep when it came through. Had I been awake, I would have gotten it out. Mhm. So that's all. I just wanted to inform you. So, that little pent up section that I have in my comment, I will still have that there, but it won't have the Cash App anymore. Mhm. Oh yeah, it's just the way it was used. Like I said, it was definitely a bot because it was like every few minutes they were sending different amounts and different transactions through until they got all of it. So that's what they did. Okay. Well, I mean, the bottom line is we know, people are gonna be out here scamming, and it's gonna always happen. It's gonna always happen. As long as we're in this wicked system, you can best believe these things are always gonna happen. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I bet if I pulled up the stories, Cash App probably get hacked all the time and people lose their money. But I think all of these sites where you're moving money around, that is the case. PayPal definitely, because I've heard PayPal getting hacked as well. But I've never had anything stolen off of my PayPal. But so far, Cash App. Patricia, you said, oh, okay. Ap- Apoyaz, you said beloved family Cash App has been compromised for about 4 months now, as the feds have murdered Cash App founder, a pops of federal app. Yeah, well, it could have been. But you know what? I think the hacking was even going on long before then. That's one thing. Whenever there's a lot of money flowing through any type of company like that, yeah, I have Zelle. I have Zelle. I've been using Zelle now for about the last 3, 4 years. And they recently updated Zelle. I think like back in April, I had to enter all of my information back into it because of all the scamming that's going on through Zelle. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, these activities, like I said, probably more common than uncommon. Well, yeah, well, I got a PIN, and I certainly haven't given that to anybody. I never give any of my pins away. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it could have easily been an inside job, you know? 'Cause I do have a PIN on my Cash App account, but obviously the one that stole all the money, they did not need a PIN to get to my account and take everything out of it. Yeah, one thing about the bank, because your money is insured under the FDIC, they will get it all back for you. You may not get it all back on the day that you lose it, but you will get it back. Being that your money is insured there, they have to, try to reverse it and retrieve the money back, where you don't have that same coverage on Cash App. Well, Andrew Collins, you know what's really unfortunate? Even if you don't use that stuff, do you know the scamming in this country is so bad for the US Postal Service that they're breaking into the boxes and stealing people's checks, and what they're doing is changing the payee on there to another name, and then they change the amount, and they've been wiping people accounts out. In fact, I did a video on that about a month ago, and a lot of that is going on in the country, to the point the US Postal Service is telling people, "Don't put money in the mail. Don't put money in the mail, because even the mail carriers are getting robbed because they want the checks. They want, Unfortunately, a lot of people still write checks and put them in the mail, and even that is getting stolen, and people are losing everything. In that story that I did, a man had wrote a check out for over $40, and someone got a hold of that check and they took $7,000 out of his bank account by just changing the name and the amount that was on that check. Yeah, but as things get worse, it's going to be almost hard for you to do anything. But see, most of my bills I have on bill pay. And so far, I have not had a problem with that at all. So I'm able to pay my bills um, with no problem. So, I mean, with the bank, like I said, you're a little more secure. Well, the bank will accept it because they think the person wrote it. They don't have any proof to who wrote the check. So they just see a check that's drawn on their bank and they'll just put it through. They would have no way of knowing what you're written and what you didn't write. They don't know. They don't know. They just see a check drawn on their bank and assume that the person that wrote the check, it's really them that did it. Yeah, I do that too, Lakeisha Bridges. I pay all of mine online. I can't even remember the last time I wrote a check. It's been that long. My checkbooks are just collecting dust because I don't even I at this point I think if I haven't written one in so long, I think at this point if I did write one, the bank probably would call and find out if I really did it because I have not written one probably in the last several years, because when you do everything online, it usually will post on your account either that day or at least by the following day. Your whatever amount you paid will post. You don't really have to wait that long. And the funny part is I think the checkbooks that I have is from a account that I don't have. In fact, I need to destroy them. I don't have the account anymore. And the new account I had, I didn't even bother to get checks for it because I don't use them. Yeah, the e-check is pretty good. Like I said, that's usually how I do it, or I just do it electronically. I guess so far they haven't figured out how to intercept your e-check yet, but I would not doubt they're definitely trying to find a way. Mhm. Okay, so I just wanted to inform you about that. No, I actually hate Bank of America. I had an account with them years ago, and I got rid of them. When did I get rid of Bank of America? I think I got rid of my Bank of America account. It must have been somewhere around 2015. I got rid of them. I did not like Bank of America. That was probably one of the worst banks I ever had my money in. by far. It was the absolute worst. And when I got rid of them, I never went back. I never looked back. I do not like Bank of America. It is one of the worst companies. It is. I try to avoid them at all costs. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, yeah, if you're banking at a Gentile bank, you're right, they're all bad. Chase is bad. Yep, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, PNC, they're all bad. They don't have good banks out here. Your credit union may be a little better, but as far as the banks themselves, they are very corrupt. You got a very corrupt people running America. So everything they got their hands on is going to be corrupt. It doesn't matter what the business is, agency, service, it's all corrupt. They're not going to be corrupt but good in certain areas. No, they're corrupt in everything. Yeah, Bank of America. You know why? You know what you just wrote, Architecture Whisperer, is the reason why I left Bank of America. I had did a transaction with them, and the transaction was for $550. And it was money I was putting in the bank. And when they put the transaction through, they put it through as $55. And I looked and I was like, "This ain't right." And I went back in and I'm like, "I gave you a $550 check and you deposited as $55." So, I mean, they did go back and fix it and everything, but can you imagine the people they've done that to and they wouldn't fix it? Yeah, and shortly after that happened, I got my money out of there. I just left Bank of America and I never went back. Oh, yeah, and in my opinion, they all should have been penalized just after, the 2008 housing bubble. They were really the banks were responsible for that. The banks were 100% responsible for that. You know what I have done now? I now take a picture of everything just before I deposit it, but even before I leave my house. Once it's deposited and everything is good, then I will just erase that off of my phone. But I've gotten in the habit of doing that now, so I can say, "Nope, I got proof that I got my deposit slip, I got the amount that I told you, I was putting in," and then once it's clear, then I just take it off of my phone, because one thing they always want, if something's not right, is proof, and it's always good to have that proof than not have it. I mean, I could have proved it anyway. The company that I got, that was actually a refund check, and the company would have been able to vouch that it was for that certain amount. You always have that option as well. Yeah, well, all these banks participated in the slave trade. Bank of America is one of those banks. Wells Fargo, Chase, all of these banks participated in slavery and had slaves. All of them had slaves. I mean, come on. If you really think about it, we shouldn't be trusting them just by default. If we weren't sabotaged so much, we would have been able to have it should be black banks out here everywhere. But because we're so heavily sabotaged, you just don't see that. It should be a lot. It should be even, I would say, a quarter of the banks out here should be black banks, but they're not. If we weren't always, people doing things and trying to screw us up and sabotage us and or block us from having things, then we should have a good portion of black banks out here, period. And we don't. And it's just clear it's due to sabotage. Oh, yeah. Wells Fargo not only had slaves, they also finance mortgages for banks. So did Bank of America. If you go back in history, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, those banks all existed back then. And they financed the mortgages for slaves. All of these banks did. Well, I mean, if your money is backed by the FDIC, even if it got stolen, they have to replace it, but because Cash App and PayPal, those are not banks. So they don't have to technically protect your money because it's not a bank. You're sending your money through them, but it's not a bank. Well, you can buy, let's say you're a millionaire, and this is what millionaires do anyway, and you can look this up. If, let's say you had $2 million in the bank and FDIC is $250,000 that they will cover. See, once you got a certain amount in the bank, you can actually buy more FDIC coverage for your account. Rich people do this all the time. And you can look this up. You can buy additional FDIC insurance so that you can have all of your money covered. Or you can break your money down into smaller, into individual accounts and then have each one backed up by HDIC. That's what a lot of rich people do. They just either buy the additional insurance coverage for their money, or they'll just break the money up over smaller accounts. So if you put 250 in 6, 7 accounts, then all of it is covered. That's what they do. But if you go online, you can actually pull up buy HDIC insurance. So if $250,000 is not enough, you can buy additional insurance to ensure all of your money is covered. I think you can get it up to $1.3 million if you buy it yourself. But if you don't have that kind of money, there's no need in purchasing it. Yeah, Dark Gable, do you know there's a picture of Prescott Bush at a lynching, and he was standing right up front when a black man got lynched, and there's a clear picture of him at a lynching. Yeah, George Bush's daddy. There is a picture of him at a lynching. But, y'all remember the opening of Cheers, that show that used to be on Cheers? And they show all of those vintage photos. Those vintage photos are all from a lynching. where they're all standing together and posing in front. They were at a lynching doing that. And then the show Cheers took the photos and made it part of their intro. If you don't believe me, go look at the intro of Cheers. It's all these vintage photos. All of those pictures came from a lynching. Yes. I mean, they don't show the lynch body, but they show the people all grouped together taking pictures. They did that. They did that. They took pictures with the body. They took pictures with each other. That's what they did. But yeah, if you get a chance, go look at that intro. And that's what they don't tell you. Yes, the show Cheers. Every single picture they show you in the beginning is from a lynching. Yeah, art of today, it did look suspect to me too. I'm like, okay, I would look at the photos in the back of my mind, I would wonder where those photos were taken. And then it all came out. In fact, it was on the news that those pictures that they show in the intro came from a lynching that people were at. It's complete disrespect. That's what it is. It is total disrespect. Mhm. All right, y'all. I'm not going to keep you long. If you can pass the word along, just tell people don't send me any cash apps. All right. So, y'all, thank you so much for being here. I really deeply appreciate it. And those of you that have donated to me over the years, I appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll come back at another time. I got a premiere coming up at 2 o'clock on Courtney Clenny. I have an update about her. So I will see you all over there, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Shalom, family.